Welcome to our channel. We are two podcasters that are going live for the first time today on YouTube. We figured it would be great to share this with you. We have a lot of episodes on Love&I podcast that go over relationships, dating, everything that we go through these days. And we navigate this thing called love. And today we're going to talk about some things that we're noticing in our lives and our experiences in relationships, how people think, how people date. And I have Curtis here, and I'm Lori. So let's do this live.
Yeah, so we got some feedback on our videos. We wanted to have a little bit more exposure, have you guys see us because we're good-looking people. We have good conversations. We have a little bit of fun, and part of it will be interacting with people. And of course, starting off, there isn't going to be a lot of interaction, but that's part of why we do this, to try and build the interaction, so whenever we're having discussions, we can answer questions that you guys have.
I have to admit, I do a lot better off camera. So I'm going to try to do my best here.
Well, it's funny because when it's just you and I talking, you don't stop talking. But for some reason, when there's a camera on you, you're like, I can't do this. Yeah, it's weird.
Well, there's radio and there's television. So I guess I'm a radio person.
Some people are made for one or the other, but I feel like I'm made for television. So this is perfect for me.
Wow, go Curtis.
Yes. So what we wanted to discuss today was open relationships. You have your monogamous relationships, you have your polygamous relationships, swingers, cuckolds, stuff like that.
What was that one?
Cuckolds? That's where you enjoy watching your wife have sex with another man. I guess it applies the other way as well.
I think we did touch on that a little bit today.
Yes, we typically what happens is whenever we get together, we will discuss for a little bit about the topics we want to touch on. And what happens is we have a lot of good dialogue before we get on camera. And so we do that just to make sure what we're talking about is going to be interesting.
Yes, and sometimes we get into these discussions that are so good off camera, and I'm like, let's save it. I hope that you guys find your questions in the episode today, and a little bit about Love&I podcast, how we started as two friends that have these great discussions with each other. I always go to Curtis, and he's very helpful with guys' mentality, how guys think when they're relationships, when they're dating, what they go through, how they feel. At the same time, I talk about women, but I've noticed that lately I have been talking a lot about good women, how they proceed in relationships, how they act, etc. And there are things that I'm learning from talking with different people. And that's the best thing about this podcast, is that I get to engage with a lot of people, and they love to share their true opinions and true experiences that I can bring here and share with everyone. So we're not coaches, we're not psychologists. We are two friends in real life, experiencing dating in different ages. So I'm just a little bit older than you.
Oh, 20 years? I'm just kidding.
Two. So talking about open relationships, to me, it was a bit of a foreign concept. And I tend to be very open when you listen to the episodes and the other videos that we're going to have here shortly. I am very opinionated. I'm very forward, but at the same time, I come from a background that it's a bit conservative.
Bit?
I would say a bit, because things have changed there too now.
Okay.
So since I moved to the States, it's not the same. The mentality has changed. People are more modern and civilized, and the relationship dynamic has changed. Marriages have changed. So there's not a huge difference these days. But when I grew up, the mentality was a lot different. So I spent the best of my years in the States, and I have seen many things that I agree and don't agree with. So to me, talking about open relationships is like, What the fuck? What is that?
So it sounds like you are opposed to having an open relationship.
Well, I am opposed when I first hear it because open is you can date whoever you want, multiple people, sleep with multiple people, but at the same time, what are you getting out of it?
So I had a friend one time, and she was into open. Her and her boyfriend were into open relationships, and from what I gathered is that he was not very attractive, but she was. And so primarily it was her sleeping around with different guys, but she enjoyed being able to go home and like see him. So I asked her, you know, what why do you enjoy that part? Because I was curious. I said, "Well, will you bring people to your house and sleep in the bed
Oh.
of your
See,
boyfriend?"
you lost me. These are the things that I just cannot understand.
Well, and so what she said is what happens is before she goes out, she'll go out with her girlfriends or whatever, and she says, "Hey, I might find this guy. He's probably going to rail me if we go out. So like, we'll probably go back to his place. And if not, I might bring him back to mine." And what she told me is he will sleep on the couch while she does her business. But what's weird is um so ended up breaking up because he did it with two different girls, but he did not communicate with her beforehand that he was going to do it, and so she was upset about the communication. So once he started doing
Communication or permission?
communication, like communicating with her saying, "Hey, I'm with this chick, we're gonna have some bam bam sauce," we like he just did it and didn't tell her about it. So that's when they broke it off. So to her, she felt like it was okay as long as there was communication saying, "Hey, bam bam sauce will be made."
What was wrong with the bam bam sauce between them?
You see, that was weird. Is she said, we would still have sex, we would still be like a typical relationship. He would take me out to dinner and stuff. So it sounded like they had what would be a typical monogamous relationship. It's just they would have different people in their bed.
Well, I don't know about you, but for me, a typical relationship is not just going out to dinner and having sex together, is going out to dinner, having sex together and only together, and continuing to trust each other to be able to do this for a while and still stay attractive to each other, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you think, because, okay, here is me. I think
Okay.
this is insane. I think being in an open relationship where people can sleep with other people and bringing people home, the home that you're sharing together, I think it just violates every rule of the relationship. And I will not say rule like something that is so rigid by society, but it's more of a moral rule, like an emotional rule. Like for me, it's impossible to love and be with somebody and at the same time not feel anything when they are sharing such intimate things with another person.
Well, so it's a little bit different between men and women. Women are a little, well, in my experience, women are a little bit more, when it comes to sex, more emotional. There's more into it. For guys, it's just very visual, for the most part. For the most part. So when it comes to, being in an open relationship, guys are typically like, "Wow, she's hot. I can bang her, and it's okay because my girlfriend's okay with it being an open relationship."
But will he be okay if she does the same?
And that was going to be my next part is, from my experience, you know I'm sure there's women out there that will have sex with someone just because they're attractive, but typically there's a little bit more to it, like there's some kind of
Yeah,
emotional side.
absolutely. I mean, it goes both ways. And I've had this conversation lately with a friend of mine. And we kind of went at it because I said guys date multiple people more often than women do. And he said, you're giving a little too much credit to your women. He's like, women actually date multiple people more often than men do.
So I have two comments on that. It depends on. So if you're in the first like month or so where you're talking to somebody, I mean, frankly, women have many more options than men do. So it's probably more likely that there's more women dating other guys just because there are more guys that will date the woman, as opposed to a man. There's probably a lot smaller of a pool, less people that will date that man at any time. So there's that. But second, so whenever your friend is saying, men, women, so when you get women get too much credit about dating around, I don't know too many women that will be like, wow, this guy's incredible, but I'm gonna date someone else. Whereas opposed,
Exactly. And I was going to ask you, dating multiple people, it's different than sleeping with multiple people as you're dating them.
yeah,
So I dated multiple people, meaning going out on dates, right?
uh-huh.
Getting to know them. And to be honest with you, it was just, it's exhausting. You can do that for, let's say, a month max until you start dropping them off because, of course, you're going to see red flags or somebody's just going to be weird. So about a month would be the time that I would see different people. Who has that kind of time? Don't laugh. Do you
Well,
have that kind of time to actually see somebody every day of the week?
no, but so when I was dating, what I would always do, and this is what always saved me, is I would always make plans in the future with the person or persons that I'm with. So, for example, I go out with somebody on Thursday,
Mm-hmm.
and I tell them, you know, we that night we smash or whatever, and it's great. So that next morning, I'll send a message like, "Hey, great time. Let's get together on Wednesday or Friday or something." So I penciled them in. I would go out with somebody on Friday night, same thing. But I would tell them, "Hey, I'm free on Monday or Tuesday night."
Well, yeah, I mean, that's how it works.
Yes,
But
but
how long can you keep that up?
I mean, as long as the boom's going.
Oh, okay, okay. I stand to my opinion that guys date more than women do.
If there were more women available to men, 100% men would be dating more. But again,
I
if
think
it's
men date even if they're not really attracted or if they don't really like them, they would still date them as options to keep them as an option, so they're not left with nobody.
I will admit that there are some times where you will, you know,
Spill it out.
I try to never string somebody along. Like if I'm
It's
going,
not stringing along if you're not making any promises or committing.
but there's a difference between, hanging out with someone and being super nice to them or whatever and being fake, as opposed to hanging out with someone and being like, hey, I only want you for some booty, that's it. Like there's a difference between stringing someone along and not being clear about your intentions, instead of like being clear about
But
your
isn't it
intentions.
stringing along when you keep scheduling dates after dates with them?
If she knows what she's getting herself
No,
into,
she
no.
doesn't know.
But that's what I'm saying. That's why you need to communicate that to the person. You need to tell the
Well, you
person.
don't know yet if you like them
Yeah,
enough.
within a date or two.
Okay, so guys know within a day or two if they like the woman or not.
100, 95%.
Okay, what do you base it on?
Did I have a good time with this person?
What's a good time?
It's different for each person, but to me, having a good conversation, didn't like nag you about stuff, or just you could have a conversation with the person. It was just natural.
Mhm.
And then of course, great sex. I mean,
So okay, if you don't have sex on the first 2 dates, how do you know?
the communication. Just something that keeps you interested into that person.
Okay, so you meet people that you're interested. Then let's say you meet four people that are interested because you have a great conversation and one of them has great sex too. Why do you continue dating the others?
Because there's potential that you could sleep with them too.
Exactly. So guys will keep women, and it's not stringing along, which like playing with their emotions, but it's more keeping their options open, keeping somebody penciled in the
I don't
calendar.
believe that. I think men know what they're doing. Like they are stringing those women along. They know they in their hearts they know that's not long term, it's a short term.
Right. And women are doing the same thing with men.
I can't speak to that. I don't know.
For
I
me, I would say that a woman may go out on dates with different guys, but I just do not see women sleeping with multiple people. I
You
think
don't
once
see
a woman
women sleeping with multiple
at the
people?
same time, no, I
Same.
not an orgy, but I'm saying I do not see them going out on dates with one guy on Thursday, the other guy on Saturday, and they're sleeping with each of these guys that they're dating while they're not in a relationship with them. I just don't see that happening.
I can't speak for how women are, but guys can do that. Guys can do that.
Well, guys can do that because it's not that emotional connection, right? Even though you have a great conversation with somebody, it's harder for a guy to connect in that level. And with women, like you said, because we get emotionally attached, it's more difficult for us to sleep and not have any attachment to that person.
Yeah.
So once women sleep with somebody and they enjoy it, that's like the cherry on top, right? I have a great time with this guy. Um, he checked all the other boxes. We have great conversation. We're compatible, and sex is good. I just don't see that that's going to be, she's going to wake up in the morning and say, oh, I have to meet Chad at 5 o'clock tonight. So hope sex is good.
But I will also say it's a little bit more difficult for women because you have to get prepared, you have to get ready. Like it's for guys, it's just like put on some clothes,
I
good
mean,
to
we
go.
do the same thing.
But I could be wrong, but typically women want to shower, shave.
Guys don't shower and shave?
I think not as much, not as much as women do.
Really? So you would go on a first date, like just out of the gym, just
I wouldn't
change
go
shirts.
out of the gym, but I wouldn't like freshly shave or go all out every single time. I
Why
don't have to
not?
put on makeup
Why not?
because I'm a very charming guy personality wise. I don't need
That can
to.
get you so far if you smell.
Well, I never smelled bad.
Okay.
I'm not disgusting, but but that's the thing is, and I feel like a lot of people they will use that lifestyle to where they date someone, they're in a relationship, they marry someone,
Mm.
and they marry someone, and then they're like, okay, well, let's have an open relationship. Let's be able to sleep with that. Let's be swingers.
All right, let me keep an open mind. Why do you think that is?
To me, I feel like a lot of people get married too fast. A lot of people don't find that one person for them. No, and I
What do you mean
know
by too fast?
they don't.
Too young? Too early? Or too fast in knowing somebody?
All of it. Like too young, you knew someone for a short amount of time and you married them, like whatever it is. You're not sure that that's the one, and you married them because for whatever reason your parents are pressuring you. It's the next step. It's what if I can't find someone else if I don't break it off with this person?
But didn't you say that guys know right away when they meet the right person, the right woman?
The right person to date,
Hmm.
not like the right
And how
person.
long did it take you to know that your wife will be your wife?
First date, like so.
Why
But
are you?
but you have to realize like you don't know that feeling immediately. Like you don't know the feeling of love until you feel love. So when you meet someone and you're infatuated with them, and here is the biggest, now that I can look back on it, the biggest thing is I would hone in on one thing about the person and be like, I love this about the person. And I can think of all of the relationships I've been in where I can think of that one thing I honed in. Whereas, like with my wife, I love everything. I don't hone into one thing. So one was her ass, one was freakiness, one was how nice she was, one was like how similar a lot of our activities was. Like that's just and
Multiple things
yeah,
that did it for you.
and so there is a difference between being infatuated and being in love. And
Right.
I feel like a lot of people were married too early. They don't find the one, so they need something to spice up, add some excitement to their lives. And so, I personally don't understand how someone can be swingers. Like they go out and I've been
Mm.
propositioned before.
And it's not just early in their relationship or their marriages, it's later on too. They're
No, and it's typically later on when they become swingers. It's not immediately, it's always
I
later
guess
on.
it's boredom.
Yeah.
But then what is the point of staying together when you are willing to explore outside of that relationship?
I mean, let's put it this way. Think about your best friend and hanging out with that person. You love having that camaraderie, that, hanging out with that person.
But why wouldn't I be attracted to that person anymore?
What if I'm talking about like same sex
Okay.
for you? Like,
Okay.
you have that camaraderie, but if you, I don't know, that you quit talking, if in a relationship, if you were to break it off with someone, you're probably not going to have that same camaraderie, that same whatever it is. And so some people crave that, but they also crave sex with other people. But the problem is they don't find that camaraderie and the amazing sex with another person and whatever else those boxes are. And so they marry a person for one or the other. And that's what people get screwed. Like some people marry because of the great sex, but they hate being around the person outside of the sex. Some people marry because they have a great personality or sex is awful.
So would you say that the main reason for exploring outside of the connection is sex?
What else would it be?
Meaning you do not have that attraction and you do not have you don't find each other attractive anymore. So sex has pretty much died in the relationship.
So I can't speak for men, but as a man, the most powerful thing you can do is to divert your sexual energy into something else. And a lot of men fail at that. And what I mean is whenever, let's just say they go to a gym, and gyms are cesspools now because a lot of men and women are wearing very revealing clothes. So if you go there and you haven't learned how to divert your
Men
sexual,
always wear revealing clothes. Have you seen them?
women do
They
too,
run
though.
shirtless in the streets.
Women wear sports bras.
Yeah.
So, but that's what I'm saying is, if you haven't learned how to divert your energy, when you go to the gym and some girl is wearing, pants where you can see her ass outlined in them in a sports bra, it's just like, wow, I'm super horny. If she were to make advances on me, I would proposition her because I have an open relationship, blah, blah, blah. But me, I have learned how to divert that energy into something else, into my work, into loving my wife and stuff like that. Because those sexual, I can't. So I've
How do you divert it? Like, what is the best way to divert the sexual energy towards golf?
so it's whenever you have downtime looking at like porn or like looking at, women dancing on TikTok or looking at, Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition, like switching your energy from like watching that shit to improving your golf swing in 3 steps to how to better your relationship with your wife, like in your downtime, diverting all of that energy into something else. And so a lot of men, I feel like, fail at that, to diverting that sexual energy into something else. And it is very difficult.
Because it depends on their level of satisfaction in the relationship.
For sure.
Because it's impossible to focus on something completely unrelated when you are sexually frustrated. Yes, you tend to be more active, do more things with your friends, etc. But at the end of the day, you know that you are lacking that type of connection. And it's not just the act itself, is being wanted, right? Like we have said before, feeling that you are attractive, the other person likes you, you're wanted, you're desired. It fucks with your self-confidence a lot. So your mind kind of goes on and in that area of, if I need to get validation from somebody else. So you focus on that, and we tend to focus on what we lack, right? And that's where we suffer the most.
Well, it's
We don't say I have all of these things, everything is great, and I'm just going to focus on something else greater. We usually tend to focus on something that's not working. If it's a relationship, we focus on the relationship that's not working. We
so,
focus on the things that are missing. So if sex is missing, that is something that people focus on, and they cannot really, men or women, they can't divert it. I have been in that position where I had to truly focus on a lot of different things in order to put aside my sexual frustration. It can only go so far.
well, it's funny you mentioned the validation part because I have conversations with some people that are married or, been with someone for a long time, and they'll tell me about how, a woman will find them attractive. They somehow get their number and they're texting back and forth, and they never like hang out with the person, or they never do anything too inappropriate. But the man's like, you know what? It boosts my ego that this woman's texting me. Like she's obviously interested in me
Wouldn't
and
it?
stuff. But at the same time, it's just like, imagine if your significant other was doing the same thing. Imagine how you would
They
feel.
probably are.
And that's
That's
what
how we get to the open relationships.
and that's what I was about to say, is that's what leads to becoming swingers and, having the open relationship.
So how do you approach, if you're thinking that, sex sucks, you're not attracted to each other anymore? How do you approach your partner? Like, how do you approach your partner and say, hey, you know what I was thinking? Maybe we should swing with other
You
couples.
see, I can't speak to that, but I will say to help prevent that is having conversations of, hey, what's been like one of the spiciest things we've done, or what's been something that I do that I wouldn't expect that I do that turns you on, or so instead of it's asking those questions and figuring out what gets your partner attracted to you. And hopefully your partner will start asking you questions as well to figure out like what you're into.
But isn't that something that you do to spice your sexuality with each
Yeah.
other?
Yeah.
So if we're doing all that and we're trying to think about things that we want to do, we change, right? And what I want today may not be what I want 2 years from now.
Okay.
And being open about your sexual fantasies, your desires, I think it's a huge component of having a good sex life.
Uh-huh.
So by being curious about your partner and what they want, what they're lacking, etc., I would think that that can spice up your relationship without having to resort to another person coming in, or exploring with different couples. I think that's not going to create that re-sparkle your sex life. I think that is only going to add something temporary that I personally think I would be addicted to it. It's not something that I would do once, right? It's something that you continuously do.
I agree.
It becomes a lifestyle. It becomes something that it's constantly excited, constantly hot, because different people. It's not like you're going to have the same couple that you're going to swing with. Some people do, but you tend to go out there, you go out and you look at somebody that is hot, woman, man, and you talk about it. And you're like, oh, maybe we should invite this. Maybe we should invite him. Maybe. So it's not you anymore. It's that relationship has kind of split apart. And I know that there are many things that people, a lot of different bonds that people have, that they stay in those relationships. But to me personally, it's a bit, it's too out there. It's and I know that I may sound very close-minded, but I would not be able, if I care, if I love my partner, even if I fight, even if I hate his guts sometimes, and even if sex hasn't been great for the past 2 3 years, I cannot see him with somebody else in front of me. And I don't know how people can get over that, how people can be okay with that.
Well, I think as humans, what happens is we tend to compare. So, if I'm married to my wife, having sex with my wife, then I have sex with someone else, I might compare like, wow, I liked her boobs more, or I like how she did this more, like blah blah blah. So then whenever you're having sex with your wife or your partner, you're thinking to yourself, I've had better. Or this could be
But we
better.
all have had better and worse. Because before we met our partner, we had
But
other
the
partners.
difference is you are with this person and you can be with another person at the same time because you have this open relationship. Whereas before, depending on what kind of relationship you had, you sleep with someone and then you sleep with someone else and you're like, you know what, I like this something else, I'm gonna stick with this something else. But when you're married, it's like, okay, I know what it's like to have it with this person, I enjoyed it with this other person so much more, I gotta go back home to my wife, and that kind of sucks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the frequency that I have sex with other people or this specific person and stuff like that. And so I don't know, I just, to me, it's hard to have a one-off experience and then not, eventually down the road when you have that one-off experience, you're going to have a 2 or 3 or 4 experience with that
And
person,
that's
and you're going to want to go down a different road with that other
once you
person.
open that door, it's wide open.
Yeah.
It's wide open. And those are what you just said. And I did not think about comparing. You're absolutely right. If I had a better experience with the other person, that I would compare. But at the same time, how would you feel if you see your partner enjoying sex better with the other person than with you? How would that make you feel?
And if you were to get upset with your wife or your partner, or whatever, and you go and you have sex with the other person, and you can communicate and talk to this person more, it's just like, wow, fuck my wife. If all she's gonna do is get on my ass, when I just stick with this person.
But what if your wife is having a great time with the other person and you're actually watching? Like, that part kills me. You're actually watching. And okay, I don't know if that's a turn on its own. I have no
That's
idea.
what a cuckold is.
Okay, so I don't know if that's a turn on. I guess I just cannot even think
A
that.
lot of submissive men are into that stuff.
Submissive men.
Yes.
Explain that.
So a lot of submissive men that are more like laid back, or let themselves get pushed around, or more laid back or whatever, they enjoy watching someone else plow their wives, because it's just like, my entire life I have been on the back burner, and so I'm on the back burner again, and now I get to watch my wife have sex with someone else. I'm attracted to my wife, and I get to
That's a
enjoy watching
form of
sex.
sadism.
Maybe.
Hmm.
So
Interesting.
I have met men that enjoy watching their wives have sex with other men, and they have always been these submissive people. I have never met a dominant male that can watch the wives.
So,
It's a personality thing.
okay, and correct me if I'm wrong, but
Gladly.
going over these things, all of these possibilities, would you say that there is something wrong in the relationship? It's something definitely, either could be the personality issue, mental health issue, childhood traumas, all of the things that will contribute to what you're into, right? Because we're not going to go there. There are many other sexual fantasies other than
Yes.
people, certain ages, etc., that we cannot even grasp on how that's going to happen. So when you look at all of these, I would say that there is an issue with a couple in order to be open to sleeping with other people, to swinging, to et cetera, et cetera. It's not like you're going to a sex show and you're watching people, have sex, whatever, and that turns you on and you want to have sex with your partner. You're actually bringing other people in. So there's got to be some layers of issues there combined in order to choose that as a lifestyle. And if I'm being too harsh, I
No.
I just can't see it any other way.
And to me, I am very big on monogamous relationships. And a lot of people have read certain books. I can't remember the name of it now, but there are
I
certain
think you
books.
just said it, didn't you?
Did I? I don't know. But there are certain books out there that talk about, humans are not meant to be monogamous. And I do not believe that. And
Mm. I mean, it's called evolution, right? Like, I think we have evolved. We were not meant to be a lot of things, and we changed and we evolved, and parts of those are, emotions got involved. We're not animals because of that. That is the biggest difference that we have.
yeah.
We feel. So when feelings get involved, then you start to become, and it's not just the feeling for a person, it's the feeling for everything that you have, that you own, that you're scared to lose it. That's when you become more protective, possessive, etc., and jealousy comes in. And so that's why with all of these feelings that come in, how do you put that aside, and have that door open?
Well, and I feel like a vast majority of people have not spent time on themselves to fix themselves. And I feel like that causes a lot of issues, and that leads to people feeling like polygamy is okay, or being a swinger is okay, or being a cuckold is okay, because they haven't spent time on themselves to fix the issues with themselves. And even those people that fix issues with themselves, they will end up with someone for whatever reason. They're very attractive, sex is great, communication is great, their family loves them, but they don't find someone that also has worked through those issues. And finding a couple of two people that have worked on themselves and understand their faults is very, very rare. And so most people don't find that. And that's what leads to them straying.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest. So I am a big advocate for monogamy. I feel like that's the course. And most people will disagree with me. I don't care.
Yeah.
But like,
we've gone beyond that.
if you're a swinger, if you're in a polygamous relationship, you're in an open relationship, I feel like there are some things that someone in that relationship has something that they need to work on and
Right.
figure out and
Right.
like improve themselves. And everyone lacks the ability to be self-aware and realize, wow, this is fucked up. Let me go to therapy. Let me fix this. So
No, people embrace it as a lifestyle, and what scares me is that people embrace it as a modern lifestyle freedom. I'm free to, I'm free to choose a life, and of course, we all are. But when it comes to the health of the relationship, I would not see that as something that is helping the relationship. I would see it
100%.
as I do not understand the value that the relationship is built on. It's the same, and I'm taking this stupid example. When you sign an NDA or a contract, right, with your job, you cannot work for multiple competitors at the same time.
Yes.
You cannot work for multiple companies at the same time. There's a reason for that.
Okay.
And it's the same thing in the relationship. It's a form of a contract where you're investing your time, you're investing your mental health, which is the most important part. You're investing your money, you're investing your house, everything that you have into this relationship that you are hoping to build with then you come to a point, then you realize that you're going to have to not only share it as in the physical way of it, but you're going to have to adjust to how you feel about all of these changes in your relationship and the toll that is going to take on your mental health to accept that the person that you're with is not satisfied just with you. And I think that is definitely something that we should not see as I'm very happy with the way I live my life, because in some of these marriages, I would think that rarely both people have agreed to it. I would say that one person has pushed for this and the other person has accommodated
I can see that.
in order to maintain that togetherness. And what you're doing with your modern lifestyle, you're actually truly hurting somebody emotionally and physically. And what happens if you have a family? And this is the reason that I stay so strong in, in my opinion, when it comes to open relationships and swinging. And um, if you decide to be with somebody, then you have made a decision to, in a way, be dedicated to this until it's not for you anymore. It's not, it doesn't have to be till death do us part, but at least to the point where you are remaining respectful and loyal to the person you're with until it doesn't do it anymore.
And it is okay to say this is wrong. Like, for example, I think almost everyone can agree that pedophilia is bad. Like, fucked up. So,
Try and call that a modern time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, I feel like swinging is wrong. I feel like being in a polygamous relationship is bad. And these are lines, I feel like as a society, we try and open up these boundaries as far as they can go to allow everything as possible. But it's okay to draw a line. It's okay to say, this is wrong.
This shit don't fly with me.
Not everything has to be accepted. It's okay to say, like, no, you shouldn't be doing this.
I always say there is such thing as too much freedom.
Yeah, and
too much freedom can ruin things.
And so, it's just being an adult, realizing that you have stuff to work on, and being with someone that also realizes the same thing. It's hard to find those people 100%, but it's worth it if you can.
Definitely. We would love to hear from you. Would love to see your comments, and you can find the link to the podcast, Love&I podcast, on the description. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Like, subscribe. See you guys soon.